The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of NAL Now. I'm your host, Stephen R. I know we've been off for about a month or so, but you know what? Life gets in the way sometimes, and things don't always go according to plan or whatever have you, but none of that matters right now. We are back here on NAL Now. This is our third episode. So I want to thank you all for listening to this podcast over on W2Mnet.com or on iTunes if you're listening there. So I want to start. We missed a lot, so we're going to go right into it. The Columbus Lions. I believe last time I did this show, they were struggling. They were obviously struggling hard, big time. They had started Mason Espinoza. I know week one they started Mason Espinoza as quarterback. Since then, they have started Darren Daniel. I believe they actually benched Mason Espinoza week one for Darren Daniel, and they haven't looked back. So obviously, this is kind of like an Arvell Nelson thing for Cleveland Gladiators. For the Columbus Lions, Darren Daniel is the Arvell Nelson. Or he's the Shane Carton. He's just a better quarterback than Mason Espinoza. Nah. And he's shown it. And then there's this other team. Down south of the border over there. The Monterrey Steel. Pretty sure I might have said that wrong. The Monterrey Steel. They were 3-0. And everyone was like, oh my god, the Monterrey Steel are doing such a great job. Okay. And then you go back to last week's game. They lost to the Sharks by, go to hell, it was like 46 points. And now everybody's looking into this. Wait a minute. I thought the Sharks were this big... Not the Sharks, the Steel. I thought the Steel were a big, bad team. No. Do you realize they played 3 games? And do you know who those games they played? Do you know who they played in those 3 games? Dayton or now they're the Atlanta Doom or something. I don't even know. That team's a dumpster fire. We'll get to that a little later. They played the Dayton Wolfpack and the Corpus Christi Rage. The two worst teams in the league. I mean, there's no sugarcoating the Wolfpack and the Rage. They are just terrible teams. There's no sugarcoating it. The Steel beat them. Those 2 teams only. And then they go into the game against the Sharks. Oh my god, they could beat the Sharks. The Sharks beat them by 46 points. I might be wrong on that, but the Sharks just blew them out. That says 2 things, to me at least. It says 2 things. There is no longer a threat for Jacksonville. No team is going to be Jacksonville this season. They're going to win the title. Let's get that out the way. They are not losing a game. They're winning the title. Point blank period, exclamation point, check mark, whatever you want to say. They're winning the title. They're going to go 16-0. Like the Patriots, 2007, or the Dolphins in 1972, and win the title. Also, though, it's not just that I took away from that game. Monterrey is not this big team this not this scary team that everybody thought they were. They're just not. They're not. They played the Wolfpack, they played the Rage, big whoop. They beat him. Ooh, who hasn't beaten the Wolfpack and Rage? Everybody. So now, nothing. Anyway, okay, some people might be listening to this and be thinking, why are you so against the Steel? Okay, maybe you have a point. They still have a few more games against the top dogs. Maybe it was just the Sharks being dominant. Like I said, that could be right there. But again, it could also be that the Steel are not as strong as we ever thought. We will see this weekend, though. And I'm very. It's. I can't say it sucks. I mean, it does suck, but I can't say that on podcast because, radio wave type of thing. It's a disappointment that the Lions have people pay for their home games, to watch their home games. Lions Steel, I'm so excited for this Lions Steel game, and I can't even watch it because I'm not paying $9.99 to watch the game. Not happening. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not paying. No. But maybe, just maybe, Monterrey can give Columbus a run for the money. But it's possible. I mean, anything's possible, right? But pretty much that right there, their game against Columbus will show me and maybe show the rest of the NAL universe what the Steel are really made of. If they go into Columbus and beat the Steel, okay, I was wrong. Maybe the Steel are a good team. And maybe it's just the Sharks are so dominant, nobody's going to stop them. But like I said, we will see how this plays out. Lions host the Steel this Saturday night. Streams on ctv.beam.com. If you want to pay $9.99 a month or $40 for the entire season to watch their home games, have fun. I, on the other hand, will probably ask a friend for live updates and go from there. So I did say that the Dayton Wolfpack, Atlanta Wolfpack, the Atlanta Doom, I don't even know what they're called anymore. I said they were a dumpster fire. Let's go back on that statement a little bit. Because now the Wolfpack are under new management. They have no ownership. They fired their general manager and hired a new one. I don't know the new one's name, but they fired their old one. And in their first game, they played much better football. Much better football. So here we are again. We have two scenarios. Either it's the fact that they're playing better under new ownership. Maybe something changed with the ownership that the team, they play better. It has something to do with the ownership. Or, on the other hand, it could be that the team that they played and almost possibly could have beaten the Georgia Firebirds are just not that good a team at all. Kind of like with the Steel and the Sharks. It's either the Steel are weak or the Sharks are strong. Are the Wolfpack a better team, or is Georgia a weaker team? I like to say that the Wolfpack are a stronger team now. Because come on, Columbus, because Georgia has shown that they are right there in the middle. They can't beat the Sharks. Nobody can. But they can stay close to the Lions. That's something. Right? That's something. I mean, I remember that game. It was the one game, the second home game, the Lions had streamed for free. And I believe they didn't know about it until afterward. It was the second game against Georgia. The Lions had a 12-point lead at one point in the first half. And Georgia came back Georgia came back to take the lead. So that right there, if it hadn't been for a late interception return for a touchdown, Georgia would have stayed much closer in the game throughout. That right there shows me that Georgia's not a weaker team. I like to believe that Dayton under new owner, or whatever they want to call them, the Wolfpack, under new ownership, they're a better team. I'd like to believe so. That's what appears to be. And that's what I like to go off of. Of course, we'll see in their next game, which I can't think of off the top of my head when it is, but we'll see. We shall see how that goes. But yes, the Wolfpack kept it close against Georgia, but they could not pull off the win. They lost 35-32 last weekend. All right, so if you listen to This Week in the AFL, our latest podcast, we talked about Reggie Gray calling it a career after he broke his collarbone against the Philadelphia Soul last weekend. Now, this player is not calling it quits. He suffered an injury. And everybody listening to this podcast, you know who this guy is. Jacksonville quarterback Tommy Grady. He suffered a foot injury against Monterey in their blowout win. And he is now, unfortunately for the Sharks, out for the season. And for those fanboys listening to this, thinking, oh my God, the Sharks are doomed. Hold on. Sharks aren't doomed. Yeah, they lost their star quarterback, and now they have to rely on Damian Fleming, which I don't know anything about him. But I mean, look at the team they have. They still have this loaded team. Tyron Lewis. I'm amazed by what he's done. Derek Ross, still the great running back he was with the Sharks when they were in the AFL. Darrell Thompson has more receiving yards on less catches than Tyron Lewis. That right there is impressive. And there's the talent on defense, of course, led by Marvin Ross, who was our last guest on our last show. He leads the league with, I believe it's 9 interceptions now. So, I mean, everyone wants to give up on the Sharks now. Tommy Grady's out for the year. Why? Why are we giving up on the Sharks? Why do we feel like, they're going down because Tom Grady? No. It's still a loaded team. They can still beat any team they go up against. Let's not give in. Let's not give up on the Sharks just yet, ladies and gentlemen. They still have a lot to show us. And I still do believe that they are going to go 16-0, win the title. So I actually want to go back for a second. We talk about Darren Daniel being the key to Columbus' success because obviously Mason Espinosa couldn't do it. And that's why he was benched for Darren Daniel in week 1 against the Sharks. Now Darren Daniel is second in the league in touchdown passes, behind only Warren Smith of the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks. Wow. I mean, that's amazing. It's impressive, especially with a league where you have all these top quarterbacks. You obviously have Smith, you have Steven Panasuk, a lot of indoor experience, last with the Cleveland Gladiators. You had Tommy Grady, now you have Damian Fleming. And Darren Daniel is second in the league in touchdown passes. Absolutely amazing. If this was the NBA, and this is a dumb analogy, if this is the NBA, he'd be a runner-up. Because in the NBA, obviously, we've seen that. Stats are all that matter when it comes to MVP race. And if that's the case, Darren Daniel would be runner-up. For the Lions, though, he's definitely the MVP for the year. Like, nothing will change that. We have Mike Reeve, however you say his name. I mean, yeah, he's impressed. But even with based on Esperos, he didn't do much with him under center. With Daniel, Reeve has become one of the top receivers in the league. With Daniel, the Lions look like a team that won 2 consecutive titles. You'll probably hear me say that a lot about the Lions. Because that's what they got. When I started covering the NAL from inside the arena, I started, talking about it. One thing I noticed about the Columbus Lions was they won 2 titles in 2 leagues over the past 2 seasons. How amazing is that? I mean, yeah, there were mediocre leagues in the PIFL, the Professional Indoor Football League, and the American Indoor Football League, both which have folded. Luckily, I don't think we have to worry about that happening for a third straight year. NAL shows a lot more promise than those last 2 leagues did. Unfortunately, Lions fans, the Sharks are winning the title this year. We already went over that earlier in the show. You're not winning a third title in the third league for 30 straight years. Sorry. Maybe we'll see you against them in the semifinals in the beginning of July. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now, I keep going on, and this is pretty much to end the show. Short show because next week, a week from tomorrow, I'm going up to New Jersey for the first time in 6 months to see my best friends, and I'm very excited for that. But anyway, I keep saying the Jacksonville Sharks are going to win the title. They're going to this, that, and the other. It's not so easy anymore. Tommy Grady was a big piece to that offense. Yeah, they're going to do fine, but it's not going to be as easy with Damian Fleming under center. Things are not going to go as swimmingly as they were with Tommy Grady under center. They're going to have to fight for those wins towards the end of the season, especially against teams like Columbus and High Country in the Lehigh Valley. They're going to have to fight for those wins. With Grady under center, it was like, okay, they're going to just run through everybody. Now Grady's gone, it's like, okay, they have to compete against everybody. Not everybody. Because this is the way I see it playing out at the end of the season. Jacksonville will host High Country. Lehigh Valley will host Columbus. And it won't be so easy for the Sharks against High Country because High Country is a great team, despite being in their first year as a franchise. They have such a talented team. They've shown that all season, despite what the record says. Stephen Penisic, their quarterback, Malachi Jones, a great wide receiver, and Undra Hendricks is the running back. Great trio there. They will beat the Sharks will beat the Grizzlies, but it's not going to be easy, especially against a team like that. So we will have to see what happens there. Maybe I could be. I say this a lot. I'm going to continue to say this. I could be wrong about. I can be wrong about this. Maybe even with Damian Fleming under center, I suppose Tom Grady. Maybe the Sharks still dominate. I honestly just don't think it's going to happen. I have a feeling it's going to be much tougher, especially towards the end of the season. Everyone's going to be fighting for a higher playoff spot, especially with the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks, High Country Grizzlies, and Columbus Lions chasing the Sharks. It's not going to be easy. It's be a lot of hard work. It's football. It's going to be very challenging, and they'll have to be ready for that challenge when it comes to them at the end of the season. The Sharks are going to have to be ready. They're going to have to get Fleming prepared, because he's honestly never been in a position like this. He's never been in a position where he has to take over a team that's 6-0 and on top of the world. So while they have to prepare him for the rest of the season, they'll really have to have him prepared for the end of the season, when things get a little more difficult. But nonetheless, Jacksonville is going to win the title. Even if it depends on who it's against, High Country, Lehigh Valley, or Columbus, they're going to come out on top. As I've been saying this all season, as have everybody. They're coming out on top as NAL champions. And without further ado, that will conclude this episode of NAL Now. I'm your host, Stephen Err. I hope you enjoy my analysis on the National Arena League. Hope you enjoy this weekend's games. I know I will. And we will see you next week here on NAL Now. Good night, everybody.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.